Okay, so I've managed to sort myself out now. I've got my layout lines, my grid lines set back down 3300 below where they were, so they're now back down onto factory floor level. So while I've got them there at that level, then what we're endeavouring to do is take a copy of this back wall here and place that where it should be on the front of the building, in this particular case here. So to do that, as we've spoken about before, the front wall of the building will be 280 millimetres off that grid line. So I'm setting out 280 from there. That will be the distance to the front surface of the front walling. And so it's simply then a matter of taking a copy of this back wall, just simply single click and select the back wall face and take a copy of that from anywhere. Preferably don't try and go to endpoints all the time and everything, preferably come to some point on an edge, and just before you do though we want to copy, so we've got to press and release the control key and we bring that to the front of the building. Now when you get on red axis direction, press and hold your shift key to constrain it and then come and touch that line that you've created. And notice how I purposely come away so I don't get confused. I come away into some unambiguous place to click that line there. And so once you've done that, you've created another face, another wall at the front face here now. Now it will be necessary for you to then put trimming lines through. I'll just turn off the office image layer now so we can see where we're going. Office image is already turned, upper image. Turn off the upper image so we can see where we're going. And now what you'll need to do is you'll need to chop out all the way through actually. So if you were to come, not too sure exactly what height for now, but if you were to just come maybe from this point here, no, because that's a bit below the floor. So if you were to come from this point here and then come out on green and just initially give yourself a line that trimmed right through to this edge of the wall. Okay, and then from that line there, if you were to further cut that, if you were to then go straight up the wall, which you don't need to, but maybe from that point there. Oh, and by the way, we should be constructing these lines on the walling layer. While you're on the walling layer, I better go back and change that line I just drew to the walling layer. Okay, now if I also draw a line from this bottom point, from that bottom point on blue axis, or constrain it along that face, make sure it's constrained along that face until it hits that edge of the roof. That'll then split that wall to that point, and then if you also draw from that end point that you just would have left there, constrain that on that edge until it hits the top of the orbit round, more like that. Okay, so if I constrain that along that edge until it hits that edge there, that'll then lock that off. Now once you've done that, you should then be able to clean up the lower faces of that wall. So if I just delete, and it should have actually gone through and deleted inside as well. So if I turn off, say, the roofing layer, when we come around the back here, you'll see that I have created a shape which slopes up from the office roof and then down and cuts all that out. Okay, so that's probably the next stage, and then when we turn some layers back on, I'll just sort of back up a little bit to get the one that I had left here, which was that one. If I turn some layers back on here now, we'll get rid of the columns we'll leave on. So I'll turn off the set outs, rafters, tilt up to stone, walling stays on, curtain wall, office image can go off, framed wall lower, framed wall upper. Just to give you an idea of where we're heading now, and turn the upper image off and the office roof on and the roofing on. We're starting to close off, and we can see the other construction lines that we can now delete to tidy up the drawing, and we're starting to close this job off just nicely. So here's this line I thought I had deleted a little while ago, but we've undone since then. We'll just clean up some of these things. So that's what we're looking at having at this stage. Now the next step will be, we'll start constructing a floor at the upper level. So what we'll do to that, I'll turn mine on and I'll show you what I've done. The upper floor is just here, and orbiting around, if I turn off, say, the walling, oops, so we'll change to upper floor as the other. We'll turn off curtain wall and walling and roof, turn off some of the roofs, just to give you an idea of where I've gone. So I've just created a floor. I've created a layer called upper floor, and I've drawn some of these shapes around to create the upper floor layer. So I'll just turn on the upper image as well, so you can see where I've gone. So somewhere out in the conference room you need a floor, so just draw some floor shapes through there. Once you're on that layer drawing some lines from wall to wall, it should automatically start creating the faces for you. Come through to, in this particular case, come through to 46 millimeters off the center line of the column. So the grid line that runs through the center line of the column, and you might have to move your grid lines back up 3300 again now. Come 46 millimeters off that, because that'll bring you to the outside of a 92 millimeter frame. Half of 92 is 46. So then you can sort of cut yourself around the stairs. Now I'm not too sure where the top stair is going to be at the moment, so I've just drawn it in that location. But come around the void, and I've given myself something like a 12. I normally allow something like a 1200 millimeter there for the hallways, the walkways. Probably allowed 1200 also for the stairs. Yes, I have. That void probably lines up with this wall just here. I'd say 10 millimeters off it, but anyway, you could set that wall as being in line with the void, and then come 1200 off that would be a good choice. And then you can just keep working your way around and creating the floor. Now, because there's lots of other pieces to this model so far, you're probably not going to get the whole floor in one nice piece. You'll have to go around and close off little bits and pieces with rectangles, and eventually when you get them all, then you can pull them down 220 millimeters is what we discussed in class about the thickness. Okay, so we've got to this point here when we've closed off that then, so we'll turn off some more of the images, office roof, we'll turn on roofing, the upper image, etc., and that's where we're heading to at this stage. So back onto walling, back onto curtain and wall. Okay, and we've got a model looking something like that. I can probably delete these set outlines. We're going to head next, that'll do us for now at that level. Next we're going to head down to the basement, so I'll just stop the video at that point.